Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Yay! Good morning, Peter.
Morning, Bill. Hey, everybody.
Here we go. Here we go.
You really want to do this, huh?
Episode number 416, 416. And here is the title. How to Conquer Creative Real Estate Sellers' Objections Comfortably in Today's Economy. I think we will probably do a couple episodes on this topic. So today is the beginning of probably a little mini series.
Yeah, makes sense.
So here is today's description. Picture this. You're face to face or on the phone with a skeptical seller. Your palms are sweaty and emotions are racing through your entire body. You feel you are way off script and the seller is leading the conversation. Most important, you feel the deal slipping away. You hang up, disappointed. And now, the real trouble begins. You start to replay that disastrous seller encounter over and over and over in your head, sometimes hundreds of times, trying to figure out how you went wrong. The dismissive seller attitude toward you trying to help them. The awkward silence. And the crushing, well, send me an email with all that information and I'll look it over. Actually, all of this ends today for you. In this episode, Bill, that would be me, who has had thousands of conversations with sellers, is going to not give you another podcast, but instead a call to action, a challenge, a dare, and ask, will you step up? Or will you let that one or two bad seller conversation hold you back like an elephant being tied to a 2-inch stake at the circus? Sellers are waiting for you. And after this episode, you will be ready for them. So let's start.
You got my attention. You know, it would be one thing to have dismissive people who are just, but the ones that really bother me, the ones that say, oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. And they still don't.
And they ghost
That's
you.
The one. Right?
Ghost
it's
you.
like, oh, I got one. I don't got one? I'd rather somebody say no or I don't get it than oh yeah. And then where'd they go?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Lead away.
Okay. So let's do some housekeeping. So I have to tell you a quick story. I was looking for a video because I'm creating a client attraction system for my coaching business. Okay, which my coaching, I've decided that my coaching business is going to change. I'm no longer accepting coaching the other ways, which is fairly cheap, actually. It will be fairly expensive, but it'll be a 1-year program, and it will cover 1 year worth of Creative REI Reply with everything, plus all the coaching and all the tools and all that. So I'm making this funnel, and I started going through videos looking for this one specific video where I was standing in front of a
whiteboard,
144 Liberty Street.
Oh, with a street
with my cigar, and it's I had just bought the house and I was all pumped up, and I just made this awesome video. Anyways, I'm telling you all this because first of all, I had no idea. I mean, just on one YouTube channel I have over 800 videos. I think in Vimeo I have about that many as well. And then on my cell phone, forget it. I've got a lot of videos and a lot of training, right? So while I was going through this, I found something that I wrote for my coaching clients 10 years ago that is apropos exactly for today. And it's how to untangle seller conversations. It's a book that I wrote because I used to be a sales manager for when I worked for the company that I traveled with for 43 weeks a year. I wrote it for my sales guys, and then I converted that into the house business. So it's a book on if you are having trouble with getting deals or talking to people on the phone, it can help you untangle whatever's going on. And that link is in the chat or in the description today. I uploaded that. I went through, made a couple revisions. I found it complete, but I totally forgot I had it.
Yeah, that's funny. You're funny.
Yeah. Oh, you have no idea. We're gonna be together this weekend. I am Peter. I want all of our rookies to know. I'm not going to mention the date because I don't like to do that. But I am personally going to change your life this weekend. And he's frozen. He didn't hear a word I said. All right, I'm going to keep going. I don't know if he's frozen or if I'm frozen. Okay, so I'm going to keep going with the... so what we do is we record this episode every Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. And when we do that, we live stream it. If you want to be part of the podcast, you can be part of the podcast. If you join us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we live stream it to YouTube, twice to Flipping Houses for Rookies and Creative REI Reply, to LinkedIn and to Facebook. So if you go to any one of those platforms and type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, you can find us. And if you so desire to leave us a question or ask us a question about the podcast, we will do that. And of course, if you don't have a question about the podcast, then you can go to flippinghouses4rookies.com and go to our support ticket and put in a support ticket. Or you can go to WhatsApp Messenger and you can subscribe to our mastermind group with a little over around 100 and something people in there, and it's called Let's Talk Real Estate. Okay. Last thing is, don't forget to subscribe to us and don't forget to like us and leave a comment and all that kind of normal stuff. You didn't hear what I said before, did you?
I heard, no, I froze again. I heard, okay, all you rookies, blank. What'd you say?
I said, all you rookies, I want you to know, I want you to make a declaration of today's date, because Peter and I are going to spend the weekend together, or at least Saturday, and I am going to change your life, Peter. I am going to change your life.
Well,
yes.
Good. I was just thinking this morning, I don't have a bad life, but I'm at, like a lot of people, at a kind of a plateau. And if I just go a little more, I'll get here. And then you wind up at this plateau. What's this plateau stuff? Forget that.
It's going to change.
Forget that.
It's going to change.
Good.
I got an idea that I'm going to... Anyways.
And how about yours? How about your life?
Oh, my life's changing already.
Oh, well, all right then. I'll go with you.
All right, Peter. I want to start off today by asking our listeners a vital but curious question.
Mm-hmm.
What business do you think you're in?
Oh. Yeah, huh?
It is possible, you know, that it's something more or other than real estate. In fact, real estate is just the byproduct of what we attract sellers and buyers to us for. Truth is, we are all in the marketing business, says Dan Kennedy, letting others know what we do, which is help sellers sell, help buyers buy, and help our family be free. Right? Mm-hmm. But even Dan Kennedy had it wrong.
What?
Even Dan Kennedy had it wrong.
So you've refined that, huh?
I've not refined it. I'm putting a stake in the dirt right now. This is a flag on the moon type of thing. Okay?
Okay.
We're in the people business.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You know what? I have a word for it. You know what? I wrote it down. I have to remember what it is. The truth of the matter is, if you're not in the people business, you can't do the marketing.
Yeah, because it's like omni-communication business. Who are you talking to?
Right.
People. It's
Right.
people.
Right.
People business.
Ontology.
Whoa, wait a minute. Ontology. The study of on. What the heck is on?
Ontology is the most general bunch of metaphysics, right? Concerned with the nature of being.
Okay. Can we say something? Can we say something about metaphysics? That's a crazy word.
Metaphysics is close. It's a synonym.
Right, and metaphysics means, as far as I understand, beyond physics, like beyond that, like you're in the ether. That's a little crazy bit of a word.
Yeah, ontology is the theory of being.
The theory of being.
Like, who are you? Who are you at the core? Right. That's technically what we're at, but we're already 12 minutes in the podcast, and we should have. I'm already 12 minutes behind. However, as true as this sounds, I have learned from our software users over at creativereireply.com that giving users leads every day, having AI answer the responding texts, making appointments, having the robot use the calculator so that there is no thinking. You don't have to worry about learning deal structuring anymore, right?
Yeah.
There is no education process. You don't have to worry about the paperwork because the robot puts as long as the contact information's in the system, it does all the documents for you. All you have to do is have seller sign it. I mean, I've done everything except the deal for the person. Mm-hmm. I have automated every possible prospect, and there is possibility. Every possibility I've automated, and there is no other system like it on the planet that I know of. I've been looking for it for a year, and nobody has. I've actually offered people a membership, a free membership to my software if they think they have something and it can compete with us, because there is nothing.
Wow.
And here's my synopsis or my summary of years in tens and tens, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work. Today is my synopsis. Today is my conclusion of what I've learned. Mm-hmm. If you can't talk to the customer, all that means crap. Right? What I'm talking about is the seller's comebacks from script questions the investor provoked.
Yeah.
In other words, the seller's concerns and or emotions that knocked the investor off the script. it's like this thing that I can't automate. It's like, well, I am going to automate it because I am trying to build a robot to do it. Because I'm having trouble teaching humans how to do it.
Well, Bill, it's funny though. We go through all this work to automate things, so we don't have to, quote, work. We have cars and computers, so we don't have to work. And in the end, we're worried about like computers and things taking over life for us. So make up our minds: do we want it or do we not want it, or do we just use it intelligently and in the end still have humanity and talk to each other?
So the idea of Creative REI Reply is that 90% of the minutia, the day-to-day work, finding leads, texting them, all the texting, the opening caller, the closing caller, all that stuff is done for you. Mm-hmm. All you need to do is get on the phone with someone for a 20-minute conversation. Actually, it's a 5-minute conversation because in the first 4 minutes, 47 seconds, as you've proven, right? Mm-hmm. 4 minutes, 47 seconds is the average time it takes you to pre-qualify somebody. And then, and then if they qualify, you continue. And in about 20 minutes, you either have a deal or you don't.
Yep.
If you do what we're going to talk about today. So let's start.
Okay.
The first trouble I have with my private coaching clients is this major mind shift. Our creative real estate entrepreneurs think all they need to know is creative real estate deal structuring, or how it works, and the benefits of it. So they think if they study enough and they understand how creative real estate works, and maybe they talk to a few people and think, well, I gotta tell them the benefits. They think they got it licked and they'll make deals.
Yeah.
This is why so many study it for so long. Right? Yep. They think this knowledge is the skill they need to close deals, and that is the biggest lie in the business. It is not true. You are better off to be a rookie and say, well, I really don't know that answer. I need to go find out. Mm-hmm. And you'll get more respect from that than knowing the answer and sounding stupid.
Yeah, it's totally more genuine. It's very, very real.
Yeah. If you understand creative real estate before you understand people, this is a major point. You have put the cart before the horse. Mm-hmm. You will not do deals, or do way less deals. If you understand creative real estate before you understand people, you're doomed.
But Bill, nobody understands people. People don't understand people.
If you use, I'm going to even acknowledge that. If you use the 80-20 rule, you will soon realize understanding people is the 80 and the real estate, creative real estate deal structuring is the 20. Mm-hmm. Right? So the 80% is understanding people, and the 20% is actually real estate.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to divert for 1 second, and I'm going to put a punchline on this, a big fat exclamation point. Okay?
Yeah.
In the real estate business, who's the biggest player? All of real estate, who's the biggest player?
Well, people think it's a realtor. Is that what you're getting at?
Nope. They're not the biggest player. Who is the biggest player?
The bank.
There you go.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Do they study real estate? To their mortgage brokers, to their people that give them mortgage originators, they don't study real estate, do they?
No.
What do they study?
They study
money.
Sign here.
Money and paperwork.
Yeah.
And they're the biggest player in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you studying real estate? Did you want to be a real estate agent and make 5%? Is that what you wanted to do? Or did you want to make money? Because when you make money, it's a paperwork game. We can call that PPG, huh? People, paperwork game. PPG.
There you go with the acronyms. Okie doke.
In fact, lately I have turned my whole entire system and philosophy on its head. I'm making a complete, not a left turn, not a right turn. No, I'm doing a flip-flop, a cartwheel, upside down, backwards. And you will hear, I've been surveying the hell out of my list. Because I have a new creative real estate strategy in my head that I am going to release.
Whoa.
And it is so freaking simple, Peter. You're going to be like, what?
Well, it has to be because there's so much work been done. Like all the details have been covered, all the minutiae and all this stuff. So anything else would have to be really drilled down to a simplicity that is just dead on. Lead on.
I've done this, flip it on its head, only because I believe when doing virtual deals, you need to study your buyer first. You need to know your market. If you understand your market, if you know their local concerns, their territory knowledge, their stereotypical neighborhood information, they call it colloquial. Colloquial means local or close to, right? Mm-hmm. If you understand those idiosyncrasies, that is why our investors or our Creative REI Reply users or our rookies are not going to another area because they don't know the area. It's not because they don't know real estate. So in their head, they're like, oh, wait a minute, I have to learn real estate. Well, I'm not really that good at real estate yet. So why do I want to go to another area and deal with that extra stuff too? So it's a double whammy against them. Because first...
Well, that's interesting because you don't usually talk about knowing the area. I mean, I know the area because I live here, but I don't think about it much when I'm trying to talk to someone because I think I'm just talking to the person and his house and his life, not looking at the area. So keep explaining. Go ahead.
So I'm not talking about the area. I'm talking about the buyer that's implanted in that environment.
Uh-huh.
And when you study the buyer, by virtue of studying the buyer, you will know the environment.
Oh, well, that makes more sense because that'd be easier just to talk to one person to try to figure out the whole deal. That makes sense.
And the reason why I'm telling you this, and I'm gonna move on because I know I'm kind of babbling here, but I'm doing this by showing my new system is by showing rookies how to lock in profits before committing to purchasing the deal. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to let out a little secret. I'm going to let out a little secret out of the bag here.
Uh-huh.
All of my courses, all of my material, everything that I'm going to teach from this point forward, I am pretty sure, not 100% yet, but pretty sure, it'll be audio files, like a podcast. I'm going to start doing private podcasts.
Oh.
And I'm going to teach it so you can listen to me like you're listening to me right now.
Is that instead of like the written stuff? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Oh.
And videos and courses.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have an idea and I am going to do it. And I'm going to teach my rookies that are ballsy enough or brave enough to listen to me. And when I mean ballsy enough or brave enough, like come out of their fear, because I have eliminated fear. I have taken every possible objection on how to do this out of the game. I've taken it off the table and it's completely revolutionary. How's that?
That's pretty strong words there, Mr. Hawthorne.
I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, carrying on with this podcast. We do this with options. But here's my point. If we know how the buyer walks and talks, when we talk to the seller, we just need to act like we are representing the buyer in vetting out the seller.
Say again?
If we know the buyer, how they walk and talk, all their concerns, what they're willing to pay, what they're willing to do, when we talk to a seller, we just need to act like we are representing the buyer when we're talking to the seller, and we're vetting out the seller. Because see, here's the truth of the matter, right? I'm going to go up. Let me finish reading my script here.
Mm-hmm.
This takes all of the beginner steps out of the process. The buyer did our due diligence, told us what they're willing to do or not do. They told us about the house, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we sent them there to look at it. They gave us all of the solid data points that we, up until now, spend so much time researching and trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Some of the people that are listening to me now are probably decades doing this. Going to eliminate it. Okay, my second point for today is very important, but not the most vital.
Okay.
Okay? Mm-hmm. I have a lot of trouble with this, and you have commented dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times that I do this over our time together.
Yeah.
And I never took it to heart. And it occurred to me that I should be listening.
Oh. And what was that?
Agree as you write the deal. Don't disagree and fight the deal. Your friends and close circle are those who most agree with your core beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to them because you believe. And you share your ideas of that belief. And you share your creativity because you know it's a safe place to talk.
They don't argue with you.
So when talking to the seller, the formula is this. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, acknowledge them. I got it. Okay. That makes sense. I'm tracking with you. Right? Number 2, agree. You know, I think you might be right. Number 3, make the seller right. You know, you got a valid point there. If I was in your shoes, I'd be thinking the same thing. And the most important part. Then continue showing them how you're helping them. What deal works best for them. And then number 5, close them. Now, I'm not talking about closing the deal. I'm going to come back to this. Okay? It's called hard sell. I'm going to come back to that.
Okay.
Okay? So, here's the formula. This is how you do it. I do this naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And you comment on me on this because you say to me, well, you just agree. And then you say, okay. And then I come and I move the numbers. I take away, oh, so you want, it's a $200,000 house. So you want $220,000. Okay. I get that. I understand why you would want to do that. Okay. So if I was in your shoes, I'd want $220,000 too. But if you want $220,000, I can't give you $10,000 down. I can only give you $1,000 down. Mm-hmm. And you comment on this all the time about how I move the numbers around. Well, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just never articulated it. You should not discard this. In fact, I don't even want you to do it in real estate. I don't even want you to do that. I want you to write down. I'm going to read them again. So get paper and pencil. I'm going to read them again.
Bill, we can do this just in the conversations with people. And we should start practicing with people, right?
That's
because
what
you said you have to understand
I'm
people
going to tell
first
you exactly next.
before
You should
real estate.
practice this in your life.
What about with our wives and husbands?
I wasn't going to bring up your wife.
Hey, I was going to bring up your wife.
I'm not practicing it. I tried it last week and it didn't work so good. No, I'm only teasing.
You keep trying.
So you should practice in your life. I dare you. I dare you to practice this in your life.
Yeah.
Over the next few days, I want you to do this. 1, acknowledge. 2, agree. 3, I'm saying make the seller right, but make them right. So if you're talking to a seller, then it's make the seller right, but make them right. 4, continue showing them how you are helping them. Or if you're practicing in life, it's like continue getting your point across. And then 5, close the deal.
Aha, Chinese food it is tonight.
There you go. Most creative real estate investors drown in negotiation exhaustion.
Yeah.
Most creative entrepreneurs drown in negotiation exhaustion of trying to overcome every objection, which is why it is very relieving to work on agreements. It melts them away.
Yeah.
Now, I want to write a whole podcast on this, and I'm going to, maybe it'll be next one, but I'm going to tell you that most creative entrepreneurs drown in negotiation exhaustion of trying to overcome every objection. Here's the problem. The what do we call them? The paralysis of analysis, and the people that are trying to learn, and they're educating themselves more than doing deals is because they're taking up objections. They want an answer for every single possible objection, stall, or resistance they can hear in the conversation from the seller. Right? And just like there are so many types of humans and personalities, so can there be so many types of questions, stalls, or resistance. Truth of the matter is, in any industry, Des Moines, I forgot his first name. I think it's Phil Des Moines, wrote a book on how to on a sales book. Demone, I think it is. He talked about this. Right? There's 12 to 18 major objections. Right? In any industry.
Right. They may be stated differently, but it boils down to the same points.
So there is not a limitless amount of things that sellers will sell you to tell you that you can't change. And the next few podcasts, I'm going to try to go over some of those.
Okay.
Today, I'm trying to just kind of plant in some theory. Okay?
But you're saying we don't have to directly deal with all of them?
What I'm saying is that the objections, most rookies don't know the difference between an objection and a comment or a complaint. It's a comment or a complaint, and they think it's a real feeling. They can't tell the difference.
Right. So on the one hand, one is just something like just to complain or get around things or just to make noise. And something else might be an actual concern.
Right.
That's what we're looking for?
Right.
Okay. Because we were talking about that last week.
Yep.
Okay.
Regardless, on this agreeing thing, right? Regardless if the seller is right or wrong, you need to make it safe for the seller or buyer, if you're talking to a buyer, to be right so he or she doesn't get stuck in his or her rightness and dig his or her heels in.
Oh, yeah. That's conversation over when that happens.
As soon as you tell them or make them feel or insinuate that they are not right, first of all, what's the first step? Peter just told you, Peter.
Well, you have to acknowledge people.
So what does
when they say
acknowledge
something.
mean? What does acknowledge mean?
It's not agreeing. That was another step. Acknowledge just means that you heard them. You heard what they said. You heard them. You're listening.
So what that means is I have a mental image picture in my mind of a cat. My job is to describe to you what that cat looks like. So when I'm done with my conversation, you have the same exact picture in your mind of that cat. Mm-hmm. And when you do, you say to me, I got it.
Yeah.
I see the cat. It's completely clear to me. Mm-hmm. And if someone is not acknowledged, a communicator is not acknowledged, they will talk on and 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 on because they don't think they were heard. Mm-hmm. So the best thing you could do for someone is to acknowledge them, because here's what happens. If you don't acknowledge them, they're stuck there. And you went on with your deal or your offer, and they didn't hear a word you're saying because they're stuck back at the unacknowledgement because they don't feel like they got heard.
Yeah.
And they're still stuck there thinking, this guy doesn't understand me. He didn't hear a word I said.
Yep. It's funny. We don't talk about this much, but it's communication 101, you know? Mm-hmm. You say something, and a lot of people don't acknowledge. I was watching two people talk the other night, Monday night, and not everybody acknowledges. Say something, and then, like, dead air. It's weird. It's weird.
All right. How you act towards sellers and buyers will be how they act towards you. Mm. Right? Your attitude precedes everything that happens in life. Mm. So if you're in disagreement with everything, you're an angry person or an antagonistic person or a hostile person, or a person in fear, in withdrawing or not reaching very hard, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right? I heard language a long time ago, and I never really understood it, and I feel like lately I do get it.
Yeah, what's that?
Wax enthusiasm.
Oh.
Wax means like pretend like you're enthusiastic. I mean, for real, don't like pretend. But wax just be enthusiastic.
Just start putting it out there. Just start laying it out there.
And here's the amazing thing that I'm teaching you right now. Almost any price or a price can be beat. Any price can be beat. I offer you 200, somebody else offer you 210. Oh. Any price could be beat. Any offer can be beat. But a great attitude cannot. Mm. By the way, when you're not perfect at this or polished, the only way to compensate is to take a lot of action. Which is why we laid out podcast number 212 to 214, because that goes all the way from how to get leads. We've been on this roll now since, I'm saying 200. That's wrong. 412 to 416.
Yeah.
Right? 412 to 416. And I mean, I'm going to try to start all over.
Yeah.
412 to 414. And now we're on 416.
Yeah, okay.
So you can take massive action without money or risk and learn things like we're teaching you today. I have a little secret for you and everybody listening to me, so I can get it off my chest. This new creative real estate strategy, which I have not named yet. I've actually worked it out in my mind in these podcasts, 414 to 416. You know what I call it? My coach taught me this.
What?
It's called learning out loud. All right. For the majority of people, they won't go listen to those podcasts. And if they think they already heard them, they won't go listen to them and binge listen to them. So they get all the datums put together. All right. Now for the major vital point. Because remember I told you this last point was not the vital point? Now we're going to go after the major vital point. Here's what I want you to ask yourself. Are you a Holiday Inn or the Ritz-Carlton? And most of you are the Holiday Inn and don't even know it. Service is senior than deal structuring. Talking to people and understanding and duplicating their feelings, empathy, is way more than deal structuring. You're studying the wrong thing. If you understand your buyer will tell you how to structure a deal. Now you go to your seller and say, hey, I've got these 35 buyers and they're willing to do this. Will you do that? But before that, we had the most important sale, the most important deal, the most vital part of any deal ever. It's the biggest deal you will make in your life, your entire life. And that's closing you to believe what I'm telling you today. That's closing you to tell you to stop doing all the learning on creative real estate and all the deal structuring and all the videos and all the education and just practice. Use the formula I just gave you and use it with your coworker as soon as we get done listening to this video. Use it with your kid. Use it with your wife or husband. Use it with the ice cream man. Use it with the UPS man. Use it with the with the Amazon driver. Use it with the mailman, the grocery store, the restaurant, another person, and practice it.
Actually, what's smart, what you're saying, is if you practice that with people you're not emotionally tied up with, you have an easier time practicing it, right? Because when you have talk somebody close in your family, the wife, the husband, et cetera, it can be harder because emotions and experience and history. But just talk to a stranger and just practice it. You'll find out it's easier to do them with your own family, friends, and then people you don't know at all, but somebody who's important, like that seller you hope you can close so you can make X amount of money that you want to do.
Right.
It gets easier then.
Okay, now I'm going to drop the bomb.
Ooh.
Because that's all good. Everything you just said, everything I just said is all good. It's all the preliminary factors.
That's now there's a bomb? Go ahead.
Conviction is the make or break point in any creative real estate entrepreneur's career. When you just decide, I'm going to do something with full conviction and believe it, you become unreasonable about if it doesn't happen. And I watch this with you. I've told this to you, to your face. This is not secret. Your conviction is out.
No, I've had questions like, how much is it following the patterns, the routines, the numbers, the steps, and how much important is it to have, like, I would call it intention or drive and like push. But what you're talking about now is different than push, because push is like force, and that's not working. You're talking about something that sounds more to me like when you work with somebody until they understand and are interested and they like what you're saying, and they even ask, well, gee, how would you do this for me? When they reach out to you like, well, how much is a gallon of ice cream? Or like, how much is blah, blah? It sounds more like that you're actually working with the person to the point that they're open and want to do something with you.
No.
It's not. Okay.
If you decided you wanted to help a seller sell their house and a buyer buy their house and make your family free, and you decided that's what your purpose is, it doesn't matter whether you buy a house or not. You're going to just talk to enough people until that happens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was just thinking, like, not everybody will say yes no matter what we do. But if you have that attitude and you keep going, the right person will be there.
That's why the
it'll click.
pre-qualifying is so important. So you're right. That's why the pre-qualifying is so important, because you have your conviction. You know you want to help your seller sell a house. You know you want to help your buyer buy a house, and you want to help your family go free. And you go free for this help. Right?
Yep.
Then you need to have conviction that you are doing something good.
Yeah.
And when somebody comes along and say, why would I do that? The number one answer that I hear from, because I surveyed this, what is the number one thing you hear from sellers that you can't handle? Why don't you just buy it? And without conviction of being a creative real estate investor and knowing that you're doing the right thing, you lose.
Yep.
I'm going to keep moving because I'm going to build upon this, right?
Okay.
Here's another major datum. This I got from my 8-month sabbatical.
Ah.
This is a major point. I will call this an axiom. An axiom is a law, like gravity is an axiom. You don't have to explain it. You just know every time you pick something up and let it go, it falls. That's gravity.
Okay.
This is an axiom in my life. Don't think, operate. You don't think, you just operate. And I used to think this was a bad thing. But I found out it's one of my key qualities.
Can you expand on that? Expound?
I can, but I don't want to. But think of it this way. If you do something, right, and you don't, like suppose you want to make your daughter a birthday cake.
Okay.
And the cake comes out horrible. Right?
Yeah.
Next time you want to make a birthday cake, so your mind wasn't able to, your mind hung on to that because it feels like it wants to protect you from making a bad cake again.
Yeah. What did I do wrong? All those things. Yeah.
So when you're thinking, that's what you're thinking about is all the things that went wrong. You're not thinking of all the things that went right because, quite honestly, when you do something right, it just goes poof and you don't remember it unless you decide to recall it.
Yeah.
It's not a stimulus response.
It doesn't stick.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I got to remember this. My life depends.
So no thinking is needed. Right? No thinking means that you're what's the word? You're not allowing your subjective mind to control you. Because that's where all that thinking is. You got to go into your subjective mind, which is also subjective reality. Because it's not really true. It's just your experience of something that happened and you hung on to it. So you won't do it again. Yeah. You know, like take a deer in the woods, right? And the deer goes down to a river and he walks on the stones and he breaks his leg.
Yep.
His mind is going to say, don't go to that river anymore. And then it's going to die of thirst.
Yeah.
Right?
It wasn't the river, it was the stones, but...
No, it was the fact that the deer wasn't being careful and tripped on the stone. It wasn't any of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, okay. But the river gets involved.
Too profound. No thinking is needed. You have decided, you have total certainty and belief that you're going to do this. This is most apparent recently with regard to politics since COVID. You're either hard Democrat or hard Republican. And your operating basis stems from one of those decisions. Well, I'm not going to talk politics anymore because, I believe in Trump. And if someone, oh my God, I get attacked if I say I believe in Trump. Or I'm a hardcore Democrat. I'm not going to talk about that because if there's a Trumper in the room, I get attacked by them. This is common everywhere. It's everywhere. Everywhere. And it's getting out of control to the point where they almost tried to kill one of the presidents. Becoming so thoroughly sold on your creative real estate future that the environment will now align to it. You will attract deals and not repel them because you have total conviction that this is going to happen. No matter what, this is going to happen. I have decided I'm smart enough, I'm human enough, and it doesn't matter. It's just gonna work. Conviction. Conviction means that you do not stop. You do not take no. I mean, I'm not rooting for him or not, but look what Donald Trump has gone through. Does he have conviction to be the United States president? Look at the stumbling blocks he's gone over. Right? Pick any successful person. You think the guy that owns Amazon doesn't have conviction? I heard something like they're worth some number, like, I don't know, $100 billion or something like that. You don't do that without conviction.
What, he lost $100 billion?
He's worth that. The company's worth
it,
billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. Right? Elon Musk. And pick any one of them.
Well, how about WD-40? You know why it's called WD-40?
Why?
Because it failed 39 times.
Oh, Jesus.
No, I'm not kidding. Look it up. I'm not kidding. They failed 39 times, and the 40th time they got it.
That's a good one, Peter. I like it.
No, it's found that somewhere. If it's not true, it's a good story.
All right. So becoming so thoroughly sold on your creative real estate future that the environment will just align to it. It will also find counter-intention. In other words, intention that will be against what you want. Think of two trains coming down a track heading towards one another.
Uh-oh.
And then they meet without smashing. They just meet. Right? If they're both of equal force, they don't move, right? They're nose to nose and they don't move. If one is stronger than the other, it'll push the other train backwards.
Yeah, but you know what you can do?
What?
You can put WD-40 on the tracks for one of those trains.
Oh, stop. So, come on. We're at 52 minutes.
I couldn't resist. I'll stop now.
So no, that's fine. So the point is that if one train is stronger than the other and pushing the other train backwards, that is counterintention. That means if you're going backwards, you go one step forwards, 3 steps backwards, there's counterintention in your life. Find it, strip it out, get rid of it, handle it. Or you can have other intention. That's where other people want to do other things. Like, for example, you want to be a creative real estate investor and your other half or spouse or somebody wants to invest in the stock market.
Yeah.
So when you get $5,000 or $10,000, what do we do with it? Do we put it in real estate or do we do it in the stock market? This is what we call a maybe. Maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that, maybe, and maybes mean you're in a fog and are not seeing clearly, and you don't do anything. This is where 90-some-odd% of our sellers are, especially for sale by owners and expired listings. They're in a maybe. Because they don't know what to do. They tried to sell it and it expired.
Right.
they don't want to pay the fees, so maybe I'll sell it as a for sale by owner. And then you come along with your conviction and you say, no, 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 do this, do that, do this. They will follow you. It will be your confidence that you're looking for, is that conviction of, I know I have to do this. By the way, in Creative REI Reply, every one of the deal structures has a checklist just for this reason, to give you confidence and that conviction of, no, Mr. Seller, here's what you have to do. This is the next step. Right? You do not need group agreement to do this. You don't need other people to agree that this is a way for you to make money. Committees don't make decisions.
That's a really good point.
But it will... but it will portray confidence if you just keep this conviction in. So now you will believe your offers to sellers are the right thing for them. That's where you fall down, Peter. I'm evaluating for you openly here, but that's where you fall. Well, I don't know if Bill wants to do this deal or not. I don't know if he wants to do this. You know what? Bottom line is, you make the deal the way you think you should make the deal, with conviction. And the worst can happen is we go back and say, we changed our mind, we don't want to buy it. Right?
Yep.
It'll train you to stay in the close mode when you do this.
Yeah.
Right? If it's right for your seller, of course. But this conviction will keep you in the close mode, because the close mode means you're doing the right thing for the other person. That's when I say you got to be the most ethical person in the room. You're thinking, if I was in their shoes, this is what I would do.
But that goes back to the first thing we started with, is talking to the person and acknowledging them, agreeing with them, talking to them, finding out what they really want to do. Don't rush into the deal and the numbers and the offers. Slow down. Listen to them. And when you understand what they're trying to do, then you could really help them.
That's right.
But you have to talk to them first.
That's right.
You know?
So if you have this conviction in, no matter what happens, you know you're going to give it your best foot, right? Because it is the best solution for your seller, and you need to be hard about this. This is the hard selling. Hard sell means getting this concept across to them so that they could benefit from them. Hard sell means that you're going to get them through their crap and help them. Right? We talk about enlightenment. Enlightenment is actually a religious thing. But we're not talking about that here. Enlightenment is actually getting somebody to see the faith. Enlightenment means you're educating them and showing them how it will help them. Right? So hang on one second, because Chris has a thing here and it's kind of long and I got to read it. Okay, off subject, but I'm going through them. So, Chris, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about there, but if you send me a support ticket, I will spend all the time with you. Matter of fact, if you put your phone number in the support ticket, because you're here every week, I might even call you. Okay? So I apologize for that. I know you understand, because you're starting to comment off like that. You're asking about realtors. Okay, so here we go. By doing it this way, it'll train you, this conviction will train you on keeping your eye on the mountain. Right? Here we go. Money is a mental issue. It's not a shortage issue. That's a Grant Cardoneism.
What, you having money?
Money is a mental issue.
Yeah.
Not a shortage issue. And this attitude of conviction will make you believe money is made out of thin air. Last point for today. Time. This is a problem I have with all my private coaching clients. Time.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting or allowing a seller to go think about it is always a sign of slow communication. Slow or no communication with sellers or buyers means only one thing. You did not get into the seller or buyer's conversation they're already having in their head. The most important job in this process is, once your marketing gives you a lead, is to first pre-qualify this lead by finding out if they are willing to talk about taking monthly payments until paid off or give some sort of a discount. If they're willing to talk about that, I'm not saying do it, talk about that, then you continue with our scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to give you 5 things. You should write these down. 5 things. Once you have pre-qualified the seller and have them engaged, do you understand what I just said? Once you have them pre-qualified and the seller is engaged, in other words, they're willing to talk to you, they're being flexible, they are curious about what you have to offer them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where most rookies fall down. So I made a 5-point formula that you should follow, and we're going to talk about this more often.
Okay.
Number 1, identify their needs. Number 2, select the right solution for them. Number 3, then demonstrate how you will help them solve their problem. Then demonstrate. What does the word demonstrate mean, Peter?
Well, you actually have to show. The way you describe it, you build the image, like the mental image pictures.
There you go.
Have them see, like, well, here we'll do this, and then we'll do that, and then you'll get this out of it. Then this will happen for you, and this will happen for you,
Right.
And you paint that picture for them so they can see it.
Right.
Because they might not have they might not have heard what we're talking about before.
Well, they may not be in the same reality.
Yeah.
So number 3, I'm going to repeat it again. Then demonstrate how you can help them solve their problem.
Paint a picture.
Number 4, then you kick in hard sell, the conviction, by getting them to take action. This is not hard selling. This is not uncomfortable selling. The easiest way in the world to do this is with 1 question. Actually, 2 questions. First question is, if you don't sell to me, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Second question is, okay, so if you do that, how's that going to affect others around you, like your wife and your family, or your husband and your family?
What was the beginning of that? If what? If you don't...
Yeah, so the first question, I don't know, so I have to start from the beginning. So the first question is what are you going to do if I don't buy this house from you today?
Right.
And then the next question is what's going to happen to your wife and your family, or your husband and your family, if you do that, if you make that decision?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got it. Sorry.
That's hard sell.
Yeah.
It's making them, hard sell to me is making them confront their problem and the solution you just gave them, and not accept anything less than a reasonable negotiation. Hard sell is not like a bad salesman trying to shove it down your throat.
Yeah.
Number 5, make sure your exchange is felt. This is important. Make sure your exchange is felt by the seller in abundance. And they would feel foolish if they said no. This is your Ritz-Carlton aspect, giving good service. So make sure your exchange with the seller is felt like abundance, like they got so much from you that they feel foolish saying no to your offer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you helped them with everything that they needed and nobody else could. Like, I need to move in 3 days. That's huge. I have a job transfer and I need to be gone by the end of the month. If you use our Grand Slam offer, you can give them $394,000 for a $300,000 house. Those are pretty cool 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your seller or when you have a seller that has long times between responds or no call back from the seller, it only means you missed one of these 5.
Yeah, that makes sense. We were talking about that the other day. And I'm doing something like, well, let them chew it over, get back to me. But it means that something didn't go well right then and there. So you might as well talk to them while they're on the phone, find out what's happening, fix it, because you're not going to get another chance perhaps if you blow it.
That's right. My friend Joe C. says, when doing offers, you should aim for 5 no's. And that is the best thing in the world, because those 5 no's are your roadmap of what they're not willing to do, which will point you to what they are willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But most important is the opposite and most dangerous. The most dangerous that most 100% of any rookie that I talk to, 100%, do this in the beginning. They accept the yes.
Mm-hmm.
Think they got a deal, and then they get ghosted. So, my friend Joe C. says 5 no's, 5 yeses. You have to make sure they say yes to the deal 5 times to make sure that it's true. Getting sellers to like you is not by talking about their favorite things or the kids or the weather or the whatever. That's fake news right there. That's fakeness. That's pretending like you're trying to like them. Rapport is built by talking about their deal and you being passionate about helping them with sincerity. If you can't do that, decide not to help and don't fake it. You should go into the conversation thinking, what am I going to learn from this conversation? What tool can I put in my arsenal for the next conversation? And you should constantly be thinking you're not wasting your time because this person just educated you. And then you'll just run into a deal.
Mm.
Realize only 2 things can happen with sellers or buyers. When you're talking to a seller or you're talking to a buyer, only 2 things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
1, they close you on what they want. Or 2, you can close them on what you want. And if what you want benefits them in abundance, like we just talked about, and it's the greatest good for the greatest number involved, everyone wins. And that's why we say you need to be the most ethical person in the room when you're doing deals. Make sure you go in today's podcast description because I put a book in there that I've never given away before. I've only given it to coaching clients. It's how to untangle your seller calls, so you can take a look at that. The stuff I just gave to you is a bonus to that book. It's probably not in that book. In fact, it's not in there. Between this podcast and that book, you should be able to get a whole different viewpoint of how you can talk to sellers. I'm pretty sure the next couple of episodes we're going to actually do some objections, like how to answer those objections, like what to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now that we have some theory in, and make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you like us. Make sure you leave us a comment. Make sure that you get into our WhatsApp group called Let's Talk Real Estate. And if you have any questions, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right-hand side is a support ticket. And with that said, we're over and out. Thank you very much for your support and listening. And have a good week. Flourish and prosper. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.